Okay, I gotta be upfront with you guys. This episode is going to be rough. The book tackles the very hard subject of animal testing through the eyes of dogs. It's a very brutal, honest, and unflinching look, and I know this isn't for everyone. I want to warn you now because this episode will get dark and you will cry. That's not hyperbolic. That's going to happen. And you can tell I'm serious since I'm doing this voiceover over a black screen. This is your warning. If you are a dog lover, animal lover, or hate that commercial with that Sarah McLachlan song, then click away from this video and I'll see you in October when I cover Fair Street. And if not, then without further ado, I present to you The Plague Dogs. The Plague Dogs is a 1977 novel and the third published by Richard Adams. It's a book that, well, my relationship with the book is complicated, mainly coming from how I was exposed to the story. I can't really explain yet, but this book leaves me with a lot of feelings. You can say all of the feelings. And I do mean that literally. I get all the feels from this book. So, let's get that basic plot out of the way. And things are about to get dark fast. We open with two scientists working around a water tank, observing something. "I think it's packing in, Chief," he said. "Oh no, wait a jiffy." He paused, drew back the cuff of his white coat to avoid another, though weak, splash, and then bent over the water once more. "No, I was right first time. It is going. Do you want it out now?" "When it definitely sinks and stops moving," said Dr. Boycott without looking up from the papers on the table. And that thing they are looking at, the large mongrel dog in the tank, was continuing to struggle with its front paws, but so feebly now that its body, from neck to rump, hung almost vertically in the water. This is how the book opens, where we witness a dog drown to death, then get resuscitated so they can record his endurance so they can see what happens the next day, and the next, and the next, just like the day before, and before that, and before that. I told you this book is dark! This is Ralph, a black mongrel dog born as a test animal for an animal research station with several other dogs. One of those others is Ralph's neighbor, Snitter, a fox terrier, who was once owned by a master, but due to a tragic accident, was sold to be used for brain surgery that has left him... Perhaps you're not out at all. You're drowned. We're dead. We haven't been born. There's a mouse that sings. I'm bitten to the brains, and it never stops raining. Not in this eye, anyway. Yeah, he's tested to see if they can merge Snitter's conscious and subconscious mind that causes him to see and say things that make little to no sense. The only reason they did it was to see if they could recreate what happens to a character from Pinchin Martin, a book written by the Lord of the Flies guy. Really, the only reason they are experimented on is because the scientists can. These results won't solve anything or discover anything. They just give them an answer to a question. There's a reason Adams gives them the acronym ARSE. And by the looks of it, their fates are sealed. As dogs, we're born to suffering. It's a bad world for animals. That is until tonight. You see, the man who feeds them was in a rush, and when he fed Ralph, he forgot to secure his cage door. Snitter notices that the wire separating them is loose and is able to squeeze through, and together the two leave their cages. They then look to get out as they pass all the other horrible experiments done to mice, rabbits, cats, birds, in a locked room they can't enter, until they reach a furnace that is used to burn the dead animals and are able to escape. Ralph's rump slid suddenly forward, as smoothly as a turd from a healthy anus. Okay, I have to go on this quick tangent. Richard Adams! What is up with you and poop? I swear, there is a weird amount of talk about poop in all of his books. In Watership Down, he gave it a rabid word which they mention in almost every chapter. It's talked about a few times in Shardik, and now we get lines like that. I know you're a nature guy and animals poop, but do you have to mention it so much? Seriously, why would you describe something like that? Do you have a thing for it? You know what? I don't want to know. Moving on. Anyway, the dogs escape, but find they are not in a local town or city, but a nature park in England's Lake District. But to the dogs, it looks to them like something out of a post-apocalypse, a world the scientists somehow destroyed themselves. They've taken everything away, Rolf! The houses, the roads, cars, pavements, dustbins, gutters, the lot! How on earth can they have done it? I tell you, it's not possible! Which leaves them at an impasse. Snitter wants to go out to find a master to take care of them because he still believes in man, while Ralph wants nothing to do with man as he experienced nothing but pain from them. And after a while, they agree to be free. It will prove that we were right to escape after all, and we'll have a chance to prove, to ourselves anyway, that dogs can live without men, will be wild animals, and will be free. Which, if you know your stories, leads to a series of unfortunate events that escalate their lives as a series of outside sources from disgruntled farmers, greedy journalists, apathetic scientists, and incompetent government leads down to reveal that the locked room the dogs couldn't enter is used to look at the bubonic plague, which even though they didn't get it, leads to our runaway dogs carrying bubonic plague. And at that point, you're left to watch Snitter and Ralph's tragic fate play out. That's the basic plot of the book. Dogs escape animal testing, try to live as free animals, and get wrapped up in the dealings of men when all they try to do is live a happy life. It's a story that doesn't hold your hand, will expose you in disturbing detail the events that happen, and puts your heart through the ringer as things get worse and worse and worse. But that's not how I was exposed to the story. In 1982, Martin Rosen and his team at Nepali Productions, who did the Watership Down adaptation, adapted the Play Dogs into an animated feature. I first learned about it through a YouTube video I can't find anymore about top 10 non-Disney animated films, which featured this. It was how I was introduced to Richard Adams' work at all, and I love this movie. No joke, this is in my list of personal favorite films. I would go so far to say this film falls under the great films you never want to see twice banner. But because I saw the movie, it has colored my perception when I read the book. To say I have mixed feelings about the book is putting it lightly. To start, the film focuses its story only from the dog's perspective. We see the world through their eyes. Most of the time, we don't see humans at all, except for small portions, and only when we need to be given information through the human characters, they are usually told with an animal present. The book expands upon that. While in the film we basically only know people as the scientist, the hunter, etc., in the book they are given characters, and for long stretches of the story we are following their journey during these events, from a scientist trying to cover their tracks, to a journalist looking for a juicy story, to the government trying to address the situation to a growing concerned public. And that's understandable. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I get why the book is like that. It's to hammer home the point. How these innocent animals are just trying to make a living, get roped in by forces outside of their control. We see it happen in detail in the book, while the film takes a more streamlined approach. It's not bad, it at times works, but the best part of the book to me are when we see the world through Rolf and Snitter's eyes. Another thing that made the book feel less interesting than the film to me is the writing itself. Remember in Shardik how I said Richard Adams, let me show you all the details writing, could be his worst enemy? Well, that is present again, and here it can be worse. Even though the book is way shorter than Shardik, the book will explain a lot about details or settings that on one hand show the natural landscape to make it a believable place, and another that just makes you want to wish the book will move it already. The book's plot at times can drag with very little happening or a feeling we are moving in circles, and Adams knows this. He at one point calls people out when he does this long introduction to the journalist character and goes, I bet you're wondering if all this has any point to the story. Like very weird fourth wall breaks now and again that just seems out of place. Then we get to how some of the characters talk. Along their journey, Rolf and Snitter come across a Todd named Todd, and he speaks in a dialect called Gordy, which looks like... Yeah, I'm not even going to try to speak that. Adams actually goes out of the way to include an index to help you understand what is being said, and you can guess most of the words to know what is going on, but when you get to those long paragraphs with nothing but Gordy, and it just makes reading a chore. But again, that's not a complete make or break it for the book. If you're familiar with Adams' writing, this isn't anything new. It's just how the man writes, and it's all under your own mileage, whether it's your kind of story. However, there is one thing I can say with confidence that is truly and utterly bad that makes the movie better than the book. The ending. The film's ending for Plague Dogs is... It's one of the hardest things I've seen, but one you knew was coming. And if you made it this far, I'm telling you now, things are about to get bleak. After a long journey, the dogs find themselves on a beach as a line of troops close in on them. Snitter claims he sees an island out in the ocean and goes out to it. Ralph, afraid of the water due to his tests, hesitates but would rather be with his friend. They swim out and get lost in the mist. And then...
Come on, swim more, Ralph.
We must be near the island.
There isn't any island, Ralph.
There is. There. Can't you see it? Our island. Just stay with me. I'll get you there.
Time and tide are flowing over me. I once was blind, but now I see. The answer lies within your heart.
I'm sorry, I need a minute. This ending is sad. Depressing. Takes the essence of hope and love and crushes it in a black hole of despair with no sliver of life to be seen. And I love it. The film ending brings home the point of the story. How our own apathy, greed, and incompetence can interfere with beings that just... Damn it! They were just trying to be good boys! Good boys! Good boys! It's really a thing of beauty. Now here's how the book ends. So, Snitter's owner, the one who died, yeah, it turns out he's alive, but his sister didn't want to reveal she'd sold Snitters to the scientist because she hated the dog. The journalist finds out and they try to catch the dogs, but find themselves to be too late and are forced to watch the dogs drown. That's until, out of nowhere, real-life naturalist Peter Scott is out in a boat and happens to come across the dogs before it's too late. He rescues them. Their story about carrying the plague gets cleared up. Snitter reunites with his master as Ralph learns that not all men are evil. Happy endings for everyone! If we hold on together. I hate this ending. I hate it because it undercuts the power of the story. I hate it because most of the events I talk about were tacked on by an epilogue Adam was pushed to writing from his editor. He wanted the sad ending, but nope. I hate this because even though Adam's using a Deus Ex to end his story isn't new, this is the most sloppy and poorly conceived one I read. You literally have a page of him talking to the audience that there will be a happy ending. Then talk about how awesome your nature buddy is, who during his intro is talking about the nature of anthropomorphism used by this new guy. Have you heard of him? Goes by the name of Richard Adams? You fanfiction your friends to get a happy ending. How do you do that? The Play Dogs is a tragedy. But a tragedy can only work if the ending is sad. Anything else will lessen the impact unless you find a way to earn it. There is no edition of the book that doesn't have that epilogue. And no, you can't tell me to just not read it. If it wasn't meant to be read, it shouldn't be in there. I know the power of happy endings. Believe me, I'm a complete sucker to them. But not every story can have a happy ending. I'll admit, a lot of my criticisms of the book can be put up to subjective interpretations. The writing, the detailed characters, the dialogue of some, but this ending has no redeeming value. As much as I hate to say it, the movie did it better. I can't tell you if the book is good or bad. That's really up to you guys if you choose to read it. Just as much as I can't tell you to watch the film since I pretty much spoiled it. And who wants to cry like a baby again? But the book leaves me in a place where I can't really say I liked it. Give it a read if you want, but there's a reason Romeo and Juliet die, why Jack dies in Brokeback Mountain, and why the missed film ending stands as one of the best around. You can't make a tragedy have a happy ending. Hey, thanks for watching. What do you guys think? Have you seen The Plague Dogs? What are your thoughts about the ending? And what are your thoughts about Richard Adams overall? Let me know in the comments below, and leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Now here's where things get really interesting. As stated at the Watership Down video, I'm working on doing a new format based around general things. What I didn't mention was that at the end of each month, I asked you guys to help me choose my next topic. I'm going to put up 4 authors I've been wanting to talk about and want you guys to vote who I will cover in the month of January. I don't know how this will go, but let's see what happens. Here are your candidates: John Grisham, N.K. Jensen, Michael Crichton, and William S. Burroughs. Comment, vote, and help me figure out whose books I will cover next. But now, we are moving on to the next theme month, which is Retrospective Month. Mainly because it's October, and I know you guys love when I cover whole horror series, and 2, I want to cover more series in general outside of October. But first, we will finish off with what I started 2 years ago with the remaining books of R.L. Stine's Fear Street. Till next time, fellow bookworms, like, share, and discuss, and have a nice day.